Welcome to the Stockboy Gaming channel. Today we're going to put this new Granger 3600LX to the test. It's going up against the Mammoth Patriot Mil Spec. And you might think, wait a minute, that's kind of strange, Stockboy. What the hell are you doing? Well, yeah, this is a little bit different, but I love off-roading. I used to do it all the time. We're not going to be racing them on tracks. We're at my off-road playground, and this is going to be fun. First up, we've got the Mammoth Patriot Mil Spec. And it's trying to tackle a pretty tough obstacle here. Now this obstacle, typically you'd want to go straight, and the best off-roaders in the game can go straight through right there. This thing doesn't quite have the ground clearance, and it's maybe a little bit too wide. So you're gonna see me, I try to give it a couple of goes. It doesn't quite work. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's only one or two cars in the whole game that can go straight there. The problem is now I'm on a funky line, so I'm face down and on my side. Not the prettiest, not the cleanest way to get through that obstacle, but it's still in this video because it manages to find its way out. It clawed its way through there, did pretty solid. Now it's the Granger's turn. Is it going to be able to get through here? I'm not even going to try to go straight in this. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't have the most ground clearance. So what I want to do is wrap around the rock on the right there, kind of just like that. And it makes it look really easy. I'm kind of surprised at how easily the Granger made it through that first obstacle. As we go a little bit further into my playground here, we're going to just call this the descent. And you'll see why in a second. It may not look like much right now, but we're sticking to the hard part of the trail. And as we come down through here, we've got some tiny little rocks that we just want to be able to go over. Shouldn't be much of a problem, except that ground clearance on this Granger is really poor. It's not lowered or anything like that. Hopefully it's got some good skid plates because we just tore the crap out of the bottom of that car. But look off to the right. You might think, hold on, that's a cliff. And yeah, basically it is in this game. Some cars can go down it really well. We've got the Granger on the right, and just watch how well it handles it compared to the Patriot on the left, which just kind of guns it straight down. The Patriot's not very good at descending hills, as we saw there. But it does redeem itself a little bit later on when it comes to doing that. I was really surprised at just how bad that was when it just started barreling down. I laughed. I'm still laughing about it. Now though, this is something that I want to test with the Patriot also. The ground clearance and being able to get up on these rocks. I want to get up to that second level. I give it a couple of tries here. And you can see the second time it does get up there. We crushed the crap out of the axle. Got some skid plates working hard for us, but it did make it up there. That's good news for some of these later obstacles. Now with the Granger, we already saw it didn't quite make it up those little tiny rocks when we were going down that descent. So I'm just curious here, more or less, can I find a way to get up on that first level with this boulder? And I'm trying to line it up. You can hear everything kind of banging around. Really low ground clearance in the front. It's kind of limiting for this car, and we're not able to get up there. The good news is it doesn't get stuck. It did come down on its own. Now how about water? You can spend a ridiculous amount of money on a snorkel for this new Granger. Is it worth it? Well, you can see this first part where we've got water. Both of them, their hoods go submerged and they keep going. So that's a good sign. We got a little more of an in-depth test later, but for now it's our first big incline with the Granger just attacking it. And that's a huge incline, and this thing actually makes it look really easy. I'm surprised. It does really well on inclines. As long as you don't have big things in the way, this thing can climb a bit. It's pretty impressive. This livery is called the Off-Road King. I was skeptical. It's why I took it here in the first place. But so far, it's looking pretty good. And now we got the Patriot Mil Spec to compare it to. It actually struggles a little bit compared to the Granger, which I was not expecting. You can see it's just trying to claw its way up above that last ledge. It gets there, but it wasn't as smooth. It wasn't as easy as the Granger. So when it comes to inclines, both going up and coming down, the Granger's looking solid. The Patriot's not having the best start, but here's some good news. Check this out. Both of them, the lights work on the Granger. All the lights work on the Patriot as well. If you've been around Rockstar for a while, you know that's not always the case. So that is good news. Now we're going to go back down the way that we came for this next obstacle. We want to test downhill again because this Patriot failed so badly the first time. Maybe it'll do a little bit better here. It's not quite as intense. There's more to grab onto. You can ride kind of down this little valley. We're going to see, and it does much, much better. It's much more in control than on that first decline, which is good news. Finally, something looking good there for the Patriot. I will say just making it through this course is impressive for off-roaders in the game. You see some of these angles are really intense, but look at the control again for the Granger 3600LX, just crawling down that hill. This thing is pretty awesome. It's kind of surprising. I'm really impressed with it so far. We do want to test water though. Check this out. Patriot, fully submerged, makes it all the way through and keeps going. Let's try that with the Granger. What can it do? Fully submerged. That snorkel never gets underwater. It does pull out and it keeps moving, which is good news. What you don't see here, the problem with either of these cars is you can't really leave them submerged for too long or they do die. So you got to kind of gun it through. That's kind of how you'll do it in real life, but you know, it's something worth noting. You might kill your car. You can see again, part of this obstacle is the rocks and climbing over the rocks. The Granger can't do it. The Patriot's going to show you exactly how to do it. I'm just going to aim for the rocks in the Patriot. We're going to put these skid plates to the test as we just beat the crap out of the bottom of our car, but it just crawls over those rocks very easily. That's good news. Now we're on our final obstacle, and this is a kind of a long one, but it's a good one. It's really steep and it's kind of technical. You're kind of on the ledge here once you get up this hill, and it's a little tight to get through these rocks. Then you got to hang a tight right and go up another obstacle, and it can get a little tricky. There aren't a whole lot of cars that can handle it in GTA. The fact that the Granger 3600LX is still moving is good, and it hasn't rolled yet, but we still got to get up this, and you can see it can't quite get over those rocks at first. This is a tough one with the low ground clearance, but let off the throttle just a little bit. It's got a little bit of torque, and somehow that helps it to get up above it, and it's going to keep climbing. This thing, you got to give it credit. It may not be the best off-roader in the game, but it's showing that it's pretty solid. And we're going to ride this little crevice all the way up for the last hill. The long wheelbase on both of these cars might make this part a little bit difficult as we turn to the left here and then back to the right, heading up. Look at how much elevation we gained in that little bit of time. That's some pretty serious climbing, but the Granger survived it. And like I said, I'm pretty impressed with this truck. I was not planning on keeping it when I first bought it. I didn't buy the Amani Tech or anything like that, but I think I'm gonna keep it. This is a good one. But now we gotta check back in on the Patriot. How good is this guy gonna be up this final little obstacle? And this is where the Patriot really kind of shines. The extra ground clearance helps a ton. It doesn't get beat up quite as bad as you hear that crunch going over the hill there. But I was a little worried about getting around here. It's off camber, it's really tight. The Patriot Mil Spec just stuck in there. And it can take a bit more of an aggressive angle coming over here too. It's really easy to go through rough terrain in this thing. It's not the best off-roader in the game, but it is pretty solid. You see here, it's just no problem at all. Right over those two rocks, right in this little crevice. It's gonna ride them all the way up, and it just makes it look easy, really. You will notice there's a little more tire noise with this car than you see with the Granger. It doesn't have as much traction going up or downhill, but that extra what do you call it, ground clearance does pay off. It helps a lot. I will say though, as it makes it through the playground, both of these are really good. It's hard to pick between the two of them. Honestly, the Granger might be my favorite, which is weird. It's not the best off-roader, but it is solid enough. It's fun. You've got the Amani Tech. You can have 4 people hanging off the sides. It's a good little car. I would give it a shot if you don't have it already. It's not too expensive, but it is good. I like the livery. It's fun to drive. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. Let me know what you think too in the comments. I want to know if this is something that you want to see me do again with off-roading. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too, and I hope to see you next time.